They ruined an ancient landmark, but they didn't know what was about to happen next. Around the world, ancient sites and relics are being protected as a way to keep our planet's history preserved for future generations. These historic landmarks and artifacts are precious and irreplaceable, therefore, the government tends to be very watchful to ensure they aren't tampered with. However, some people didn't think much of this historic landmark's importance and ruined it. When the news about this terrible act got around, the vandals got in trouble. Let's see what happened to them. In Yorkshire, UK, the Brimham Rocks have stood proudly for over 320 million years. A National Trust landmark, they have withstood the test of time and are an iconic location in the United Kingdom. But all of that didn't matter for the vandals. Most of us are willing to preserve whatever relics of the past we encounter. It's a tiny piece of our history, and the more we know about it, the more we learn about ourselves. Unfortunately, some teenagers decided to do something horrible to the precious natural landmark. This National Trust landmark is also known as an area of outstanding natural beauty. But to everyone's horror, this beautiful rock formation couldn't withstand the recklessness of humans. What happened? Last year, a group of teenagers decided to act reckless while visiting this cherished landmark, and the damage they did was irreparable. However, the story didn't stop there. You won't believe what happened. According to archaeologists, the Brimham Rocks date back as far as the Ice Age. Considered to be one of the most beautiful places to visit in the UK, these rocks have been the subject of many Instagram photo ops over the years. But tourists would soon be disappointed that the idyllic place got vandalized. Knowing how long it took them to form, everyone was horrified learning what happened at the Brimham Rocks one summer. The rocks can be found in the English countryside on the Yorkshire moors. Not made by human hands, it took millions of years of withstanding the natural elements to shape them into the awe-inspiring creations they are today. Although resolute and withstanding time, along with the harsh elements in the past hundreds of millions of years, they didn't stand a chance against the hand of a group of teens. Although resolute and withstanding time, along with the harsh elements in the past hundreds of millions of years, they didn't stand a chance against the hand of a group of teens. Archaeologists believe that the continental shifts also played a role in forming these stunning rock formations. As rocks, sand and stone moved, these magnificent stones began to take shape. They truly are a sight to behold. It's believed by resident geologists that the formations were sculpted around 73,000 BC until 10,000 BC. This is during the glacial period. However, it was when the snow began to melt, the real wonders began. As the glacial ice melted away, the rocks began to ripple. As the ice ran in rivers through the rock, the cold water flowing across the surface, shapes began to form. All those eras were needed for these magnificent rocks to be created. Through wind, rain, sleet and storms, these rocks began to shape into stunning formations of great scale. Sadly, they would be tainted by the hand of man, who had little respect towards what nature had created. The scale of these rocks is also impressive. In fact, many people come to the rocks for climbing as well as bouldering. This has led to a boom in the local economy thanks to tourism. Showcasing the natural beauty of the United Kingdom, these rocks are one of the most popular tourist destinations in the country. In fact, the industry has built quite a reputation around them. Despite visiting these popular rocks, tourists were always mindful of their actions, always making sure they do not tamper with the old rock formations. Many tourists have found the rocks to be in the shape of a variety of animals. From the eagle to the dancing bear, these rocky works of art continue to impress locals and visitors alike. What did they all have in common? They respected nature, unlike the group we're about to learn more about in the next photos. Unfortunately, not everyone holds historic landmarks in high regard, and the lack of respect can end with destroying the irreplaceable. You won't believe what some kids did to these incredible rock formations. We are still shocked to see how over 300 million years' work of nature were destroyed in one single night after the group of vandals went to those rocks one night and had fun. They'd soon regret their deeds. In the summer of 2018, a group of teenagers visiting these incredible rock formations did the unthinkable. The damage was unable to be reversed, and it left many wondering, why would they do it? How could anyone vandalize such a beautiful area? Is it possible something much darker was at play? There was only one way to find out, but by the end of the officials' investigations, we're still left with a mystery to solve. Here's what happened. It all began in June 2018, when a group of tourists noticed that something wasn't right at the iconic location. A large rock formation that used to be sitting on top of a ledge was missing. In the beginning, nobody saw that this was something humans did. Every tourist that came after that summer night was wondering what the locals were talking about. What happened to those rocks? They had to see it for themselves. Tourists believed they might be remembering the area wrong. However, after comparing photographs, they realized the large rock was indeed gone. How could that be possible? A group of tourists decided to take a closer look and see what happened. They were hoping to solve the mystery, but never thought they'd end up calling the police when they saw the terrible acts of vandalism. It seemed someone or something had pushed the beautiful rock off the ledge where it had rested for millions of years. Taking a look at the before photos and the scene unfolding before their eyes, residents and tourists were left speechless. Everyone was stunned to see the empty spot where the ancient rock had been sitting for as long as they could remember. How could someone even have the strength to move it? And where did it go? Climbing to the spot where the rock would have been, the tourists looked below and were stunned to see that the rock had actually been pushed off the platform. It shattered into pieces. Millions of years, this rock had withstood the test of time, and now someone had ruined a natural wonder that was irreplaceable. Even worse, someone could have been injured if they had been near when the rock fell. Photographs revealed the remains of the rock, and they were heartbreaking to say the least. The beautifully sculptured stone had split open under the impact, shattering into pieces below the ledge. Someone had to take responsibility, so officials were called to the scene to determine who did it and when it happened. People passed by the natural landmark, wondering why would anyone do this. The vandalism was too much to go unnoticed. Obviously, whoever did this would have to be sanctioned. The group of vandals ultimately responsible would soon find out how serious their actions were. The local police decided they had to get involved and try to understand why this happened. Other officials were announced, including National Trust's Helen Clark, who said to the media that destroying the landmark might have been fun for some people. Actually, it is just completely pointless and needless. The police began to search and question anyone who might have seen what happened. Based on the timing of the incident and the photographs, the police believed that 5 teenagers were the culprits. The official statement from the North Yorkshire Police said the following: at around 8:45 p.m. on Friday, June 1st, a group of 5 young people were seen pushing a rock at the top of one of the crags. Many people visited this popular landmark, which meant anyone would have been considered a suspect. Unfortunately, what few leads the police officers had didn't give them much to carry on with the investigation. Would they ever find out who destroyed this precious landmark? Consequences needed to happen. There was no way this could go unpunished. Then, the police officers find a few clues. Would that be enough to find the culprits? The vandals hadn't been too smart when it came to covering their tracks. In fact, the police discovered they had scratched their names into the ledge near the historic site. So not only did they destroy a piece of history, but they vandalized another area as well. By the looks of the clues left behind, and the sightings during the night of the crime, the officials concluded that it was indeed a group of youngsters behind this act of vandalism. They also had the names of the teenagers. During the investigation, the popular tourist destination had to be closed down. Due to the instability in the rocks, they couldn't risk anyone becoming injured by falling debris. Here's what the North Yorkshire Police said. The incident has not only caused considerable damage to both the rock and the crag face, but those responsible also put themselves in danger and have created a potential hazard for other visitors to Brimham Rocks. The names etched into the rocks were investigated, but the police didn't get very far because they were alter egos, or graffiti tags. However, the community did not want this destruction to go unpunished. Therefore, the police and the locals pressed on. They had to search for teens that would use these nicknames, so they asked the residents living near the landmark to help them carry on with the investigation. During the investigation, the police began to suspect the teens responsible lived nearby in the local community. They would have had to make a swift getaway, and being local they could have easily slipped away unnoticed. This is why the police released the names in a public message, hoping they would soon be able to find the culprits. Were they successful? Let's see how the investigation carries on. The names Lee and Aaliyah stood out among the graffiti names in the rocks. After releasing these names to the public, the police hoping it might bring about a positive ID on some of those responsible. The community was outraged by the destruction and couldn't believe someone in their midst would have been able to do such a thing. Unfortunately, looking for Lee and Aaliyah it wasn't enough. Despite having a few names in a search radius, the police could not connect the dots. Without concrete evidence, it seemed finding the culprits would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. It was truly heartbreaking to see this cherished natural wonder being destroyed. Why would anyone try to ruin a natural landmark? The response to the news of the act of vandalism online was on point. Here's how people reacted online to the destroyed landmark. The local community's response to the destruction and vandalism was swift and fierce. Many took to social media to express their displeasure with not only the investigation, but the teens who committed the heinous act. We still hope the vandals are found and taught a lesson. Even if we'll never find out who did this, at least they read all the nice things people said about them and realized the gravity of their deeds. Who, what, when and why this horrible act of destruction took place may continue to go unsolved. With the lack of evidence and no real leads to go on, justice may never be served. Unfortunately, even if the teens realize they acted recklessly, these ancient rocks won't be able to be reconstructed. It's a sad situation for the local community and one where we hope people will learn that these natural wonders are meant to be cherished, not destroyed. The damage done to this precious natural wonder is irreplaceable, said the police in their statement. The damage this has caused is irreplaceable, and it is now in a potentially dangerous condition. What used to be a beautiful tourist attraction is now a restricted area that you can only watch from afar. Hopefully, this unfortunate event will teach more people the importance of the natural world that surrounds us, and why we should all treat it with respect.